So we are now live on Facebook, and I want to welcome Sarah Tomlinson today. This is just such a treat. I think in the West, we're beginning to understand that yoga is more than asana. So we are learning the yamas and niyamas and the sutras, and maybe even getting to Samkhya. But then there's this whole other branch, which is just so beautiful. The mantra, the yantras, the mudras, just kirtan, of course. So it's just so beautiful that Sarah is here today to share with us about the art, the very ancient art of yantra. And right away, I just want to jump in and say welcome. Thank you for being with us. For those of you that are new to Jivamaya, this is a totally very humble grassroots seva project. So this is really Sarah's donation of her time to help us and treat us and assist us and give us yet another tool to work with through these interesting times. So Sarah, just a little bit about you. How did you discover Yantra? And you spent, I believe, some time in India with Harish Joshi.
Yeah, I was an artist and I always enjoyed painting with color and really color, you know, almost like I had my own color therapy thing happening with abstract paintings a long time ago. I went to art school, and at the same time, I enjoyed yoga, and yoga seemed like a salvation for my nervous system, you know, through adolescence and college.
Right.
And somewhere along the line, I met Harish Johari. He was at an ashram where I used to teach asana. He was visiting, and he gave a workshop, and I literally, you know, woke up. And I was so happy. I finally had this practice that was as engaging in the spiritual way as asana, but I could use the color, you know, and I just poured myself into this portal. Yantras are like portals of color, the ones I work with. And yeah, I was just smitten. So then I told Harish, I have to come to India now and I have to study with you. And I was pretty insistent and almost against his wishes, you know. I was so like, I'm coming, you know. And it was a good job I did, because a few years later he died. So you never know, right? It's like seize the moment. Somehow that was the big lesson I got even from that.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. So you went through your training and you came back to the States, and I think, I forget the date of the book, but you did this incredible book, 9 Designs for Inner Peace, which is so beautiful. I really suggest to everyone, please get a copy. It's just gorgeous. And the foreword is written by Robert Svoboda, and he uses the word rasa, which in Ayurveda, as you well know, means so many different things. And it was very interesting for me to read that he uses that word here. Do you want to elaborate a little bit on that?
Well, the way he writes about it in the foreword is about taste, right? Having good taste and kind of cajoling the senses and using the senses as a way to elevate yourself. So we were talking earlier, right, about the sight, this is sense of sight. And he was talking about all kinds of art and creativity as a way to elevate your sense of taste. And that's also your sense of everything. Like taste then spills out into the taste buds and the salivating and then the juiciness of your being. So rasa ultimately is how juicy you feel.
Right.
So it's almost like with the feeling of being in love, right? You feel juicier. So that's the thing about a practice. When you really love your practice, you start to feel really happy with the practice.
Right.
You know, if it's you're so into the moment, that's really why you're happy. I think you're not thinking about other stuff.
Right.
And so there's something there. And I think usually we think of taste so much about eating, but he talks about the flavors of the different yantras. And oftentimes I talk about them as remedies. So maybe we need a certain yantra for a certain issue that's going on with us emotionally. And so it's sort of like, what flavor do you need to correct inside you? You know, even what visual, like in color therapy, what color do you need a little bit more of to feel complete, right? So it's kind of a mixture of deities and color therapy and some emotional process. The popularity of coloring books, this Color Me Calm, has something, right? This process, the in-process meditation, active meditation. But the thing about yantras is that these magic portals, which you really do jump into. You jump into another realm, and they're designed to do that. And I don't think that just any pattern is necessarily going to do that. There's something really amazing about yantras. And you could liken it to an asana, right? A mystical experience could happen through an asana because of the scientific way the nadis are kind of lining up and the chakras are going to open. And so there's something similar. Each yantra is designed to give you a mystical experience, and you can't help but get pulled into it. You think you're just drawing and coloring this kind of architectural form, but each one really has this effect on you. Wow. And it's not until afterwards sometimes, like people will come to a workshop and they'll be drawn to a certain one. Usually people are really drawn to the one they need, right now. And then later on, they'll talk about their experience and what they were going through. And then it's like I've started to see the patterns about the ones people are drawn to and when and how healing they are.
That's amazing. So yantras, and I believe also mantras, I believe that's all from the Tantra philosophy, if you want to, or the Tantra school. Can you maybe explain a little bit about the connection between the Tantra, the mantra, the yantra?
Well, we usually describe Tantra as, first of all, as the esoteric layer of teaching in any religion. There's usually like Tantric Buddhism, Tantric Hinduism, So this is like a subtle layer of teaching. And the Tantras are actually books on these subjects. And the word is to weave the mystical into the mundane. And there are these prescribed practices to get to know the flavors of the mystical, right? So we get to know it, if we can taste it and see it. And so together, yantras and mantras came about. And it's said that the sound came first. So the story goes that the rishis, these very subtle beings, would be meditating and they would hear the sounds, different sounds of the universe. And so they would recognize them as mantras, divine sounds. And then when they did the mantras, they would see different shapes. So like sound came first and it was followed by form. And so then when you do the two together, it's like the right brain and the left brain together have a more of an electric experience. So the yantra is like a slowed down vibration of the mantra, you could say. And the idea is you do them together, it's very powerful. So yantra, usually the saying is mantra plus yantra is tantra. So tantra here means an understanding of the mystical in the everyday world. So an understanding of form and shape and color and the embodiment. So this idea of being in the body and experiencing everything through the senses, using them.
This is beautiful. So the other part that I loved in reading, I mean, there's so much in this book that's just so beautiful. I really can't wait to go out and get my little instruments and start doing this. It's awesome. But the other thing that really caught my attention was, especially at this time for all of us, the need that we have to be able to be silent, the need that we have to be able to really focus on something, put our attention onto something so that we can just listen. And you really did write a fair amount about that, about how yantras really help with that and how they take you on into, in your case, just everyday life suddenly becoming a sadhana, which is a spiritual practice, which is beautiful. Do you want to elaborate on that? Because I think it's just so important at this time for us to be able to use these tools that were given to us,
I think there's an extensive expansion when you stop. There's a sense of linear time when we're busy and out of conversation. And then what happened? And then there's this fear about the future and regret or something about the past. And there's some sense of expansion when you're in the present moment doing these practices, and especially this idea of this portal, right? You go into this place where time seems to open up. And in that place, it takes you to the place of knowing. So from the chatter and the research and the Googling, there's only so much knowing, and it's a very small slice. And yeah, there's this whole big pie, you know, waiting for you. And it's like we're all dancing around, not diving into the wealth of information that's inside of us. So there's just something there. I don't know what else to say really, other than the practice pulls you into a place of timelessness where the confidence comes back. You're not looking for external, you know, recognition. Confidence comes back. The happiness of who you are comes back. Things that aren't dependent on external circumstances, you know, start to become really vibrant for you. So I think that, yeah, turning inwards is going to be a source of strength, especially as everything outside of us seems so unpredictable right now. You know, what is more predictable is yourself, actually.
Right.
It's so good. You just need these reminders. I've been having these coloring parties. This has happened really just through COVID. When people were really locked down, I said, let's have a coloring party. And so I'll send a PDF of the outline of a certain yantra, and then everyone will gather with their teacups and their coloring pencils. And there's a satsang with the teachings around maybe the deity and the benefits, but also the practice. And so everyone's very absorbed and kind of uplifted. And then by the end, they actually have a yantra, you know, that they can keep in their home to remind them of that experience. So part of the practice is making it, part is coloring, and then part of it is gazing at it whilst also reciting the mantra. So I wanted to show you two that I was working on recently and just talk about why they were helping me, because I feel like if you see them, you know, it might make more sense. Okay.
Absolutely.
So one of them, and also I want you, everybody watching, and you, Abhaya, to tell me or tell yourselves which one you like the most, because it's really that simple. You know, which one are you most drawn to? So this is going to be one of them. Okay, just gaze at it for a moment, soften, and just let the energy in. And it's really not intellectual, you know, even if you don't like the colors or something, just feel the energy. And then this one is the other one. Just kind of softening into which one had a better feeling for you. Okay. And I chose these two, or I've been working on them actually, because of exactly this topic of everything changing and moving around. And it's like I gotta get really in touch with centering in a very kind of grounded way within myself. And then that knowledge is just going to be informing me of, you know, how to move forward, and maybe informing others how to move forward, right? Everyone's talking about leadership these days, and I don't really think of myself as a leader, except for by example, you know, like I'm going to do my practice.
It's the only way to lead. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting how it's in the vocabulary. So this one, so I'm going to go, so which one did you feel most drawn to, Abhaya?
The first one.
Yeah, okay, so let's start with the first one. So the first one, this is the Ganesha Yantra. So Ganesha, some of you know, is actually having a festival right now.
Right.
And this is also the energy of obstacles and also removing obstacles. But lately I've been thinking of the blessing of the obstacle. You know, all those things where you feel like you're getting a stop sign and it's frustrating. Actually, it's good. It's saying, don't go this way. Now go that way. There's a new way forward. And it gives knowledge, and it gives you a stable foundation, and maybe beginning a new venture needs a new foundation. So this is very earth element. And also that triangle going up like that is giving you a sense of direction. So you're definitely on a journey when you have this. But it's really this deep connection to the earth.
On a journey.
Yeah.
So for everybody on Facebook, if you want, we can just call them Yantra number 1 and Yantra number 2. And if you're watching this now or watching it later, you can definitely share in the conversation, in the dialogue, and just let us all know.
Yeah. So number 1 was that one with the triangle and the green and the red, and very much to do with the root and the foundation, and also this idea of embracing the obstacles and actually feeling like, oh, that's really great. Now I get to go this other new way, you know?
And
it's so great. Yeah. And number 2 is very similar, but different. So number 2 also relates to the root and the energy. See that here it seems more vivid. See that downward pointing triangle is like I'm really going to root down.
Yeah, it's very solid.
And here it's a little bit more to do with your prana and kind of getting a handle on your own energy and your own. So maybe through mantras, through pranayama, like I'm going to come in. And here the teaching is then when I've really anchored myself, then the Kundalini will rise, then the path will become clear. So they're both similar in a way, they're just slightly different. And this one is a goddess. So the other one was a Ganesha, who's a deity also. This goddess is said to give the boon, a boon of stopping things that are wrong or unjust. And at this time, it's interesting how many things have come to the surface that have been some sense of injustice that's been around that's now being exposed, right? All the different political things that are happening. I feel like people have come to a place where they're just like, stop. So it's interesting. This also has this sense of stop.
Yeah.
Also, this is often used when people are in like battles at court or something like that where there's injustice, where you really want the person who's lying just to stop, stop. And what it does is the energy here increases your own vitality. So that brings a lot of success and a lot of fame actually to the person because they get this kind of magnificent glow. So very interesting energy here.
And this goddess is?
This is Baglamukhi. Baglamukhi. Bagla. It's like bound face, bridal face. Anyway, she's basically holding a guy's tongue and stopping him from talking. She has a club, like she's going to whack him over the head if he does say too much or say the wrong thing. And it's just temporary. It's kind of like, even like gossip, it's like you don't have to engage, And so it's even for yourself. How can I settle into myself so I can just zip it and not gossip and not raise myself, or not raise, but even lower myself to that level of chatter that's not serving me. So I felt like I wanted to have those two energies around me, slightly different, but, similar enough just to kind of tether me and drop me deeper into myself, in a very kind of earthy, practical way. We're all going to move forward in a way that's going to be very connected to Mother Earth. It's going to be a new paradigm.
I hope so. Yeah. Incredible.
I wanted to show you those. They're paintings, and the process is beautiful.
They're absolutely exquisite. Thank you for sharing those.
It's really a nice practice.
So, how does one begin this journey? Do you just jump in and get a piece of paper and
I think you can do many things. Some people are going to be more hands-on straight away. I do have a YouTube channel too now where I have these how-to, everything from the freehand one you were looking at, the freehand Sri Yantra, to very exact with a compass and ruler and pencil and methodical. Also I have these books that also talk you through the stages.
Right.
But one thing that's nice, I also have a coloring book. Coloring yantras is a good place to start because you get to know the feeling of each one. There's a teaching about each one in that book, Coloring Yantras. So that's also kind of fun. And then a few years ago, I made this yantra deck, and I made it as a learning tool. Good. She has it. There she has the box. Abaya has the box, and I have some of the cards here, the back of the cards. So there's a mixture of shapes and yantras. So this is a great, there's two reasons I like it. After the fact, I like it because it's very accessible, and I feel like you can have the blessings of that energy portal, just by putting the yantra out for the day, pick one for the day, or as long as you need it up around you. And also it is kind of a good oracle. I didn't know how much of an oracle it was going to be, when I created it. They're all my paintings, but I tell you something, everyone shuffles them, they pick 1, 2, 3 cards, and it's like always this very revelation teaching. So now I've really developed this whole thing about the oracle and the cards, and even I do consultations, counseling. I have people look at the yantras ahead of time, and if in person at the deck, And it's so interesting, which one they're drawn to. And it's just this rasa thing. It's like, what taste do these people need right now? So, there's all different ones, and very interesting things about the shapes, even, down to the 6-pointed star, if you can kind of see that. So
first one I did was the circle. I think that was the first one I drew.
Yeah, circle is really great.
Quite blessed.
So there's many ways to start. I think the idea is to do them and to hang out with them, and little by little you're going to get the feeling, do I want to sit and sketch and color? Is it just more important for me to have them around? They're a little bit like, one of my friends calls them the new crystals. They're really ancient, but the idea of having something around you that's uplifting, so I think you just have to kind of live with them. And so I'm actually really happy with this deck, because because not that many people come to Yantra painting workshops, it's a whole day. It's like 10 people can come, it's not that accessible. So I feel like some of these things that I've been doing have been a nice way to get the Yantras out there.
Beautiful. And you have a workshop coming up on the 9th, I believe. It's where are my notes here? I have some notes. Yantra Power, harness the power of Yantra bliss through the Oracle deck. And that's going to be Wednesday, September 9th, each Wednesday until the 30th, I believe.
Yeah, that's a really nice class. It's 4 weeks, and I divide the deck up into 4 sections. So we have a section on the shapes, the planets, the goddesses, and then the teachings, and then what to expect if you did see that in Oracle reading. I think it's a good introduction to Yantras, just to learn the language and vocabulary, and just to gain a little confidence about working with the Yantras, because now they're more accessible to us,
Familiarize yourself, I guess, also with the sort of energy that comes from them.
Yes, you'll have your own understanding. That's better than just me telling you anything. You'll know, oh, when I see that one, da da da, when I see that one, and have your personal experience with them.
Yeah, the responses that are elicited from that energy, that's really so beautiful.
So you got the circle and you got the Ganesha.
The circle, I'll see if I can find it quickly so everybody can see the circle. We'll see if it's in here very quickly.
It's a pale blue one.
Yeah, I shuffle them, so I try to be very...
I know, everyone's going to want to get the deck now. You guys should order the deck, because I'm running out of that Yantra deck. Let's see. All you have to look for is pale blue. I think you'll find it.
Ah, okay. That would help. Bhuvaneshwari, I absolutely adore. Let's see who else here. Circle, here we go. Circle, so everybody can see if we can see the circle. And it says, perfection, the universe in its totality is contained within the circular form. All possibilities are open to you. You are in exactly the right place at the right time. How many times have you ever heard that in your lifetime? So that's really beautiful. I was very happy to get that one.
Yeah, you're in exactly the right place. And now you have that sense of starting this journey from this place.
Exactly. That's so incredible.
And little by little, I feel like the mantra, for me, I've almost had the reverse experience with the yantras and the mantras. Most people start with the mantra and then do the yantra, but because I was so visual, I really started just painting. And so each yantra has one sound that works with it, a bija mantra. So yours would be gum, right? Ganesha, gum. And then little by little, as something just happens where you start to yearn to know these longer mantras. So part of Tantra and Sri Vidya, which is the knowledge of this, where yantras and mantras come from, there are these longer mantras that are beautiful. So now I'll actually do a longer period of mantra before I even sit and do the yantras. Like something's just shifting. It's interesting just to have the experience, my way in through the sight, through the visual.
Right. That's interesting. I noticed in the book that you had mantras with the 9 that you suggest,
with the planets.
The 9s that you suggest. And, I was saying some of them, and they're beautiful. I mean, they're exquisite. And these mantras associated, are they associated with the actual planet? I mean, if it's a yantra that's a planet, are they associated with that planet or the deity? Or
yes, exactly.
Okay.
You're basically honoring the seed sound,
Right.
and then how it resonates in your body. And then I honor that. I bow down to that. And just by saying, it's like, we all light up when we say our name. Someone says our name, right? So something like that. You're basically lighting yourself up with the energy of that.
And then I saw also that you actually have done some house blessings. And that's
yeah.
How do you use that? Because I notice for anyone who's been to India, you will all know that the woman of the house very often in the morning will go out and do a yantra and chalk by the front door. And maybe you could walk a little bit through that with the concept of
it's a little different process with this, but you're right. The Rangoli are the designs that the women do in front of the houses, and that's almost a little superstitious to keep the bad spirits away, but at the same time it's some kind of energy clearing. So then what we do inside the spaces is we're actually do the Sri Yantra, which is the one behind me on my wall. And that is like a reorganizing of the energy in the space. So Sri Yantra is like the perfection of the universe. So what we do is we draw it inside the space. First of all, we might even go around and sage, like really like a house clearing, clean. And then we'll draw this yantra on the floor and then decorate it with flowers and candles. And then sit around in a circle, and there's very specific chants we do, back to the mantras, there's to do with the goddesses that reside in each little triangle in that yantra. And the image of that yantra is the universe, represents the universe. It also represents your whole body. So everybody who's participating gets to feel kind of the magnificence of the universe, but also a little bit, it's kind of sensuous. They feel very in their body. So it's an interesting thing to do because it's the group coming together for this uplifting feeling, and yet that feeling ripples through and just clears away anything that's not in perfection, from the space. So that's amazing. Yeah, we have to do one of those. So next time you come to Encinitas, maybe we'll do one. Absolutely. We'll do one outside.
Absolutely, we will definitely do that. That would be lovely. That's excellent.
And you know what else is nice about that? Same thing, not everybody's going to come to a yantra workshop, straight away. Eventually they'll love them, but straight away it's hard to get everybody in for that full day. So this is a nice thing because they get to participate and you really get an experience through this joint experience of yantra. And I don't know, it's just kind of a powerful experience. And yet you just joined in. You didn't feel like you had to make a whole one yourself.
And would it be incorrect to combine that with sort of a tratika, a candle glazing, or maybe a homa or a
I think you would just do it separately.
Separately. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
It would be great then.
Awesome.
Because they all have a little bit of a different effect on you, and it's like you'd really be doing a great job if you did all of those.
Exactly. Oh, this is amazing. This is amazing. So is there any, I always end with, is there any wisdom, anything you want to share, maybe even of your own life, of what you've been able to really do or change or see, or I know you mentioned early on that just everyday things, shopping and cleaning and doing all of these things after you've been doing these yantra, that attention that you spend on doing that yantra made all of those things suddenly just part of a whole different path.
Yeah, I don't know if I can think of anything specific in this moment other than this feeling of when you start a process like that and then you feel like it takes over. So that's something that's just really beautiful. You start it and you think it's you starting it. And then this yantra just kind of grows. And then the same thing, I'm doing some things in my garden, all of a sudden things grow, and then same thing with having children. All of a sudden they grow. So so that's kind of what I'm inspired to talk about when you're asking me how, what's the real life thing. is plugging me into the fact that it's not me making them grow, but I'm just diving in and kind of enjoying creating a space for something and being very present with it and having fun with it.
This would be wonderful for parents too, who are at home with children.
It's very good. The kids love to color them.
Kids love it, and it's really very value creating. So, you know, how beautiful to be able to do this. Yeah.
Yeah, the kids come to those. So when we do those coloring parties, you know, they Zoom satsangs. The kids are always there coloring, and they really get into it, and they're very focused, and it's great.
That's so beautiful. So then, even through this, we can learn things like what it is that distracts us when we get involved in something like this, and then we suddenly find our mind suddenly going off somewhere. You know, to see how long were we able to focus before we got distracted, type of thing.
Yeah, and then you come back to it, and then you.
Yeah, so beautiful. I can't thank you enough. It's we started early, which I didn't realize. So I don't know if I have any other questions. This is just this is amazing. I can't wait to begin, is all I have to say.
Oh, good. And I think we should just get outside, because, you know, we can't be outside doing rituals if we sit, you know, a few feet apart from each other.
Have you ever done a big yantra on the sand, or have you done any of the sand painting? Is that Tibetan more than it is?
Yes, that's more of a Tibetan mandala.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, but sometimes we use colored sand, actually, when we do the Sri Yantra.
Right, okay. All right. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, so I think people come and check out the YouTube channel, because I think that might give you an experience of the rituals and maybe some places to stop. Otherwise, come take this course. It's coming up, and I don't offer it that often, so this is a good time to take it. But anyway, thank you so much, and thank you for this series you're doing. You're bringing a lot of modalities to people, bringing some awareness.
Well, just having all of you incredible teachers sharing your wisdom and helping us all along these times. It's really, it's beautiful. We're learning a lot. So I really thank you so much. And as I said, I will be putting Sarah's website. When I upload this, I'll put that all down, but it's very simple. Sarah with an H, sarahyantra.com, and you'll find everything there. But I will also, as I said, write it out for Facebook.
Yeah, and you know what? If anybody specifically would like to color in that Baglamukhi or the Ganesha, they can email me, and I'll send you a PDF of the outline, and you'll see my email easily on my website. You can just contact me.
Oh, that's beautiful. I'll make a note to mention that.
Special gift. It's fun, and then you'll just start. My whole thing is, you know, don't think about it too much. Start coloring, and then just see what comes. You can't believe what comes out of these yantras. It's like you awaken some, you know, inner world.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I thank you so much.
Thank you.
I just want to let everybody know that next week we will continue with this whole idea of spiritual healings. And next week we have Indu Arora, who will be coming back and visiting us. She was with us in April when we started. She'll be talking about mudras and Marmani, which is really a beautiful, beautiful practice. So we look forward to seeing you then. We thank you again, Sarah, so much.
Thank you.
Have an awesome afternoon. Thank you. Om Shanti.